Hello, welcome to part 6 of our GitHub Bootcamp on Dev Radio. You will want to stick around to the end of this one for the special end credits reveal. But with that, I will hand it over to Dave Burnison to get us going with the main presentation.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you're watching this. My name is Dave Burnison. I'm a technical advocate from GitHub. Thank you for joining us for our first 5 sessions, and welcome back to GitHub Bootcamp on YouTube Live and Twitch. Now, Microsoft's mission statement is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And GitHub's vision is to be the home for all developers. And we're bringing together GitHub's vision and Microsoft's mission statement to say that GitHub will become the home for your DevOps tools, empowering more than 73 million users to achieve more for their organizations. So this is the last of our 6 sessions. And some sessions have been for everyone, some are more technical. This session is for everyone. So in today's session, we're going to talk about InnerSource and then provide plenty of time for you to ask us anything. So on the agenda for today, we're going to cover why use InnerSource with GitHub, and how our very own DevOps Dojo team has been leveraging InnerSource. And then we're going to walk through an InnerSource role play and provide plenty of time to answer your questions. And behind the scenes, we've got subject matter experts from GitHub answering the questions that you type into the chat today. We have another great set of presenters today. Margarita, Gary, Julia, Corey, and Shenyu. Margarita, take it away. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Dave, so much. And hello, everyone. I'm Margarita. I'm based in Madrid and working as a consultant for Microsoft Industry Solutions. Now, during the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about DevOps and how to leverage GitHub technology in a DevOps environment. And today, I'm very excited to be here in this final session to talk about InnerSource. This makes me really happy because we're going to see today how everything we've been talking about during the last 5 sessions come together in the InnerSource topic. So without further delay, let's get started. Now, I'm pretty sure, many of us will relate to this picture when it comes to almost every organization, right? Like we can always find teams that are led by a manager, and this escalates at different levels. However, today I'm really curious to know what happens when there's something you need the answer to, but no one in your team has it. And I know I have a great team together with me in the session, so I'm going to ask a couple of them. Maybe let's start with Corey. Hey, Corey, are you with me?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Great. So I just have one question for you. Like, what do you usually do when there's something you don't know and you can find the answer anywhere?
Yeah, sure. Well, to start, I'll reach out to my manager. I'll reach out to some team members, some of my colleagues who have a little bit more seniority, might have a little bit of know-how on where I'm wanting to go with my answer. If they can't find the answer that I'm looking for, I may reach out to another manager and their subsequent teams, or another manager or another manager. In addition to that, I've also enrolled in YouTube University. I've also gotten scholarships from Google Tech. I even joined a fraternity. Have you ever heard of Stack Overflow Mega Pi? No. All these answers, if I'm not able to find what I'm looking for through all those different avenues, then I usually end up just creating something on my own.
Wow. Okay. Let me share this picture with you because I think, right, this diagram represents what you just explained, maybe?
It's like, you're looking into a visual aid of my nightmares. This is exactly what it looks like.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, that means that you're always dependent on knowing someone that eventually knows another someone that, may or may not have the answer. And yes?
Yep, that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Okay, good. So that, to me, that doesn't seem very efficient. And it also looks like you may end up reinventing the wheel just, because you don't know the right person. Okay. That was a good feedback. Thank you so much, Gary, for sharing that with me. I want to ask someone else in the team. I know Gary has been applying InnerSource practices in his team for some time now. Gary, how is your experience like?
Well, thanks for bringing me into this conversation, Mario. I couldn't help overhear the pain that Corey is going through. Thankfully, that's not my experience with InnerSource. So, we have this unique single source of truth that we can reach out to, find out what are the things people are doing in the organization, being able to reach out directly to them, get involved, get in touch with the subject matter experts, and get that help when we need it. So Corey, that sounds pretty different. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, this is way better. And that Stack Overflow make a pie. I don't know what they're going to do without me when I'm utilizing this. This is great.
But that actually looks very promising. And, this is making things very smooth, very efficient, and indeed can be escalated like as much as you want. And this is what I was referring to when I talked about excitement. Like InnerSource, it is exciting, but I'm not willing to, learn what's the actual definition of InnerSource. So InnerSource takes those lessons learned from developing open source software and applies them to the way companies develop software internally. And I also like to think about InnerSource as open source just behind a firewall. In this case, it would be your enterprise's firewall. And of course, like InnerSource is not an easy practice. It's not easy because it requires a cultural shift. And actually, Microsoft has been working on this cultural shift for 8 years now. Like it was back 2014 when Satya Nadella became our CEO, and he promoted this open source internally way of working as the new Microsoft way of working. And this could be possible because the motivation and the vision came from the top. Like we had our CEO as a sponsor of this change, and hence it could be adopted by every team in the organization. And, like to better understand how much this new approach is a priority now, we can even go to one of the recent company meetings where Satya said that it's more important to improve our engineering systems than to add new features. But of course, like, don't take me wrong, this doesn't mean that it's an easy change. There will be barriers, but it's a worth it change. And I'm not sure if, you were able to watch the first session of this bootcamp. If you couldn't, I really encourage you to go back and watch it, because there we introduced our Microsoft One Engineering System team, which is our software development organization for every single product Microsoft has. Now, this organization has been the biggest supporter of InnerSource practices as they work as a community of practice, ensuring there is a unique source of truth and resources are reused within the company. And this relates to, like the 4 primary goals of InnerSource, being the first one, making sure that all the talent that's in the different teams that we saw in the first slide, making sure that talent, that IP is gathered and leveraged by everyone within the organization. The second one would be that cultural shift that we've talked about. We're sometimes used to that individualism where, you need to be heroes within your team, focuses on your work, and that's no longer valid. Like, it's not about me, it's going to be about us as a community, and we're going to be measured based on how much I'm leveraging like my co-workers' work and how much I build on top of that. And this change in the way of thinking and the way we collaborate can be intimidating at the beginning. The third one could be component reuse. Of course, we're avoiding that situation that Corey explained at the beginning, where the answer is going to be somewhere within the company. It has to be somewhere within the company. But because you're not able to access that, then you're just creating it yourself. So you're kind of reinventing the wheel. With InnerSource, we're avoiding this problem. And finally, our engineers will be happier because those type of blockers won't be a problem anymore, meaning that they can now focus on doing what they do best. That's creating new amazing features, and actually in a faster way. And I think this gave kind of an overview of what InnerSource is, and I really think it's a great way of working. But I'm curious about something. Like, Gary, how do I leverage GitHub for InnerSource?
Well, Margaret, I'm really glad you've asked that question. Hi, everyone. My name is Gary. I'm a modern work consultant working for Microsoft in the UK. So InnerSource with GitHub. GitHub's the largest open source platform in the world. Just in the recent 2021 State of Oxford report, there's 73 million developers building software in public, creating sustainable communities that enable projects to grow and help support the software that they build. You could say that GitHub is the open source platform. And in fact, 87% of Fortune 100 companies are already using GitHub Enterprise, bringing these processes and tools that have been used in open source into the enterprise to enable this culture of best practices from open source into their organizations. And by doing so, these organizations have already benefited from increased collaboration, improved communication, and higher developer satisfaction by using these tools provided by the platform, such as pull requests, which developers use to collaborate and merge code, GitHub Actions to automate repetitive tasks, focusing on more valued work and reducing, improving reuse. And also GitHub's repository search, which enables developers within the organization to find projects, to contribute to them that suit their interests or give them an opportunity to practice new skills.
Wow, that sounds awesome and really powerful. I'd say that, Gary. In regards to more visibility and things of that sort, how do you go about enabling those in the GitHub environment?
Well, Corey, thanks. It's really simple. So GitHub Enterprise provides a new repository visibility setting called internal, which you can use when you first create your repository. So setting the visibility to internal makes this repository searchable so that other members of the organization can find your repository, which in turn helps share that knowledge within the organization and also provide that opportunities for others to contribute to, just like they would in the open source world.
Cool.
So GitHub gives you this really strong foundation. Like I said, that gives you the tools and the processes to really start to build your InnerSource practice upon. And there's a few other things that really should keep in mind that's going to help you build a rich culture that supports InnerSource in your organization. So first, why? You need to define a strategy, and this is the best place to start. Why InnerSource? What outcomes are you looking for from implementing InnerSource in your organization? Think about what are your current pain points around reuse and communication. And secondly, who in your organization are you going to target? Do you want to start with a business unit like engineering, or do you want to go wider and actually go for the full whole organization? Now, once you know why and who you're going to target, you really need to start supporting those individuals that are going to start your InnerSource practice. So considering what resources they're going to need. So, your first InnerSource maintainers and contributors, it's going to be a new experience for them. So how are you going to help them in this cultural change? And also, what policies do you need in place to stay compliant? And crucially of this is, do you have support from leadership? Support from leadership is so vital to give you that alignment and to ensure that you have that support when needed. So on the subject of policies, we have an expert in the room. Corey, how does GitHub help organizations maintain compliance and implement governance?
Let me tell you something. You're going to get plenty far giving me those compliments. The expert thing just, it brightens my day. So thank you. I appreciate that. In regards to the branch policies, something that we referred to back in session 3 demo, we wanted to take care of some of the housekeeping and have those healthy branch policies set up. Of course, by protecting our branches, we're kind of ensuring that the collaborators who have access to these repos, they can't make any irrevocable damages or changes, what have you, without first getting some sort of approval or review firsthand foremost. Okay, there were three main ones that we touched on during that session. The first one was requiring pull request reviews before merging anything, and we wanted to make sure we had two approvers in place. That way there were no chances that this changes that were being pushed towards the main branch were going to go unseen. The second one was review from code owners. This requires an approved review in pull requests, including files with a designated co-owner. And then, of course, lastly, we required the conversational resolution before merging. Now, this one was allowing us to improve the continuous collaboration amongst the team, and it ensures that there's proper communication before any of those changes are approved. So there were a plethora of other changes to go through. We wanted to hone in on just those specific three, just to give an idea of how you can dive into those different changes and apply them to your repo branch policies.
Wow, that sounds like great features. I'm sure enterprises are going to be, really happy that there's those controls that are in place. So thanks very much for sharing that with us, Corey.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So moving on, thinking about communications within InnerSource, it plays a huge role. So, making sure that you have a strategy that provides a consistent and broad messaging that helps really keep everyone informed. So, by having these communications and promoting cross-team collaboration as a norm really helps build this culture of openness and transparency, which in turn is going to help you create trust and confidence in your InnerSource practices for other teams who may be a little bit unsure as to how things are governed and regulated. And finally, rewards and culture. As I've mentioned, InnerSource is very much a cultural shift as a technological one. So thinking about how you're going to help your organization make that big culture shift. There's a few considerations on how you can accelerate that. So that might be providing training for new employees, but also existing employees, and championing the efforts of those initial maintainers and contributors, and really giving them their moment in the spotlight. As the saying goes, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So make sure you go back to session 1 where we discussed GitHub culture and how GitHub can help organizations build high-performing teams. But Julia, I'm curious. I know the Dojo team, we're InnerSource practitioners, but I'm not sure how we actually started implementing InnerSource. Do you remember?
Absolutely. And thank you, Gary, for raising this question. Let me walk you through our experience in the DevOps Dojo. And let me explain you what was our problem at the very beginning. So the community, the DevOps Dojo community, is made of people coming from different groups, different teams, different business units within Microsoft. And we realized that different business units had different needs. So they started to create and get different copies of the content that we were creating in the DevOps Dojo team. But these copies were getting outdated quite quickly because we were working on our source of the truth. So when we were comparing those copies, we found a lot of different discrepancies. So we discussed about it with the core team, and we said, okay, what can we do to make sure that our company has the latest content up to date? And we thought about InnerSource. How did we do that? Well, we set up a core team, which was the most important thing, because the core team is the team that actually maintain the code, that deal with dispute if arise, that deal with the pull request, that keep the content stable. And we created a core teams channel to support each team member. So internally, we could have discussed about the pull request, about the content, and so on. But we also wanted to be very much connected to our community. So what we did was to create a communities team channel to support the community, the different contributors and the users, in case any question arise. But
We also implemented a very cool thing, so that is actually a Q&A chatbot. And I remember, and it was super fun to implement it, but I would ask Shengyu, do you remember when we had to implement the Q&A? I guess you remember, right? It's super cool. It's actually one of the features that it's a bot that you can implement in one of the channels that we have in the communities team, where actually you can ask for guidance and the bot will just reply to you. And I'm sure that Shengyu is gonna show us during the demo. I see that you are back, Shengyu. Do you want to add anything? Okay. So another cool thing was we had to put our content in the repository into GitHub. So all our content is based in a GitHub repository that is powering a more user-friendly rendering of our content. So we actually have a static website that shows all the content that we want to inner source. In order to do that, we had to implement a lot of different automations. So Marga, do you remember where we worked on that together?
Yes, indeed, I remember that. Like, we wanted to make sure that the user experience was as similar and as smooth as the Microsoft One Engineering System team has it for Microsoft Docs. So we first started leveraging doc effects, making sure that the whole website was built thanks to that tool. And then we also wanted to make sure that our core team, the maintainers, had this environment before the production environment where they could actually test the changes in a pretty similar to production environment. So we implemented the staging slot before production deployment, and we leveraged doc effects for that. And I think that has been pretty useful for our contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you think about GitHub, sometimes it's too technical, and some people cannot, relate a lot with this kind of tools. So this static website is actually more user-friendly, and a lot of people can browse through it. Thank you. But also, we had to deal with our sponsors, right? So we wanted to make sure that our sponsor knew how the inner source of our content was going, what kind of contribution we were getting, how often we were getting contribution, to which kind of articles we were getting contribution. So we created different dashboards with different connectors in order to showcase that. Do you remember that? We've been working together on these a couple of months ago.
Yes, indeed. Like, that was really fun. We first needed to identify which were our KPIs. So we first tried to understand what was that we wanted to measure, and then identify where those values were coming from. So we made sure that we were including like telemetry information from the usage of our content, how that was consumed, but also information about our contributors, because we want to make sure that that inner source culture was promoted within the team. So we wanted to understand who was contributing the most, what was the average time for every pull request to get approved, and yeah, that was really, really fun.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this again. So now what I would like to do is to walk you through our inner source roleplay. I want to show you in real life how we do inner source in the DevOps Dojo team. But before doing that, I want to highlight the importance of the governance model and the contribution model. Sponsor is very important. We needed sponsorship. We needed the support of the leadership team and budget, because without those, then it's super difficult to succeed. We needed a product owner, so somebody who could have guided us to define the mission, the vision, and where we were going to. And we needed the maintainers. Actually, the maintainers are the most important part of the inner source, because they are actually keeping the source, keep making sure that the content is stable, that the pull requests get handled. And then the contributors who are actually contributing to the content that we are inner sourcing. And then the user, because the 90% of people are actually users, so people that are using the content that we are inner sourcing. So in today's role play, what we are going to do is Margarita is going to play the role of the sponsor. I will be playing the role of the product owner. Shengyu will be playing the role of the maintainer. And Cory will be playing the role of the end user and contributor. So you are going to see the end user, so Cory, browsing through the content and wanting to contribute, to improve the content that is in there. He will be guided step by step in the contribution process by Shengyu, which is one of the best maintainers we have in our core team. And then at the end, you are going to assist to a conversation between the product owner with the sponsor to make sure that we can review the different dashboards that we created and we review the different data we got from the inner source. So without further delay, let me show you what I leverage as a product owner in GitHub. So I am in the Microsoft Consulting Services organization, and I have access to the DevOps Dojo docs. This repository contains all the different content we are inner sourcing. I will be leveraging the project and the inner source progress project as my dashboard to keep track of the different issues, the different tasks that we have on improving our content or impacting on our content. As you can see, there are different columns, the planned, the in progress, the peer review, and the done, where I can keep track of everything, that everything is in place and everything is working as expected. If there is any issue or if there is anything we want to improve in our content, I will be using the issue. So I'll go to the tab issues and I will create a new issue. By creating a new issue, I will use a meaningful title to describe what the issue is about. And I will assign a person, which could be a contributor or a maintainer, to deal with the specific issue. And then I will select a specific project, in this case, the inner source progress, to link the issue and be able to see this issue in my board into the project. So Cory, how does it look like? Are you still with me?
This is great. This is awesome. I wish I'd have known about this a while ago because I actually have a question for you. So I was going through the DevOps Dojo White Belt labs, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen so I can kind of show you what I stumbled upon here. So within module 1, I'm very OCD. Let me throw that out there just so everybody here is aware. I'm going through the lab work and it's great. It's very informative, a lot of detail. I didn't have to ask a whole lot of questions in regards to how to get through the labs because everything here is pretty much just set up for you. But at the very, very end of the article, I noticed that there's like way too many question marks here. Now, me, I told you I'm OCD, so this is going to be a pet peeve until it's resolved. So is there any way that you can change this for me or wait a minute, is there any way for me to change it, or do I need to like open up a ticket and get somebody internally to resolve that? How does that work?
So first of all, thank you so much for spotting it. This is great. And actually, if you want, you can do it yourself. So I can create an issue for you and assign this to you. And I can ask one of our best maintainers, Shengyu, to guide you through the contribution process. She will be guiding you through every step. So you will be in good hands. What do you think?
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Let's get started. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Then, Shengyu, I would like to introduce you to Cory. Can you help me through the process of contribution?
Yeah. Sure. Hi, Cory. I'm Shengyu from the Dojo Code team. And here you can select the improve this doc if you want to do the contribution.
This one here? Improve this doc right here?
Yes.
Cool. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, and it will direct you into the specific file in our GitHub repo. So we host this website using this markdown. So before you make any changes, I recommend you to go through our contributing guideline. So if you can scroll up and choose the repo tab, the code tab, and open it in a new window.
Okay.
Yes, here. And you can scroll down.
Okay.
You may find a file named contributing.markdown. And this is our guiding contributing guiding. So to summarize, when you select improve this doc, it will direct you into the specific file in this repo. So you have to raise a pull request to make any changes before you make changes in the production. So after the reviewer, your changes will be effective in the production website within few minutes. So if you can go through the contributing guide and get some knowledge about that, and then we can go to the next step.
Wow, this is great. Yeah, I'll definitely bookmark this so I can read up on it later. This is a wealth of information. And yeah, this is great.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what comes next
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, for your first contribution, I will guide you step by step. So
Okay.
could you please back to the previous page for the specific file you want to improve? Yes. Here you can find the pen icon on the right corner. Yes,
Here.
exactly.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
And you can go to edit this file, find the place you want to make the changes.
Aha. Let's scroll down and go get the look at that. Look how many. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We don't need we're not that inquisitive. Let me get rid of those. Okay, cool. So now they're gone. What do I do now? Oh, okay, cool. Can I just commit this? Am I done here?
Yeah, you may need to provide more information if you want. Here, commit your
Oh, yeah,
change. Here, you can type the title if you want and
okay.
provide the
Sometimes
description.
less is more. All right. And I like a smiley face. Yeah, how's that look? Awesome. Okay, and question marks. Removal. Perfect. All right, cool. Does it look okay?
Yeah, here you have, yes, you may have noticed that the main branch you cannot directly commit to. It is a protected branch. So when you commit these changes on your own branch and you will raise a pull request, then after the review and all the checks passed, then your changes will be able to merge with the master, with the main branch. So here
Okay.
you can go to commit changes on your own branch.
Committing changes now. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, look, we already have an improver. Look at that.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, cool. Is this
Cool. So
this
yeah,
is the template you were
here
talking
what
about
you
earlier, wasn't
see is the, yeah, so this is the PR description. So we have standardized this with the PR template we have configured in this GitHub repo. So before you raise the pull request, you have to do 3 steps. So first, the description for the suggested changes. Yes, exactly.
it? Okay.
And the second step is to choose the appropriate item you are going to change. Here, yes, you should select the lab overview since you are editing the pages from the lab overview. Okay,
Okay.
so the last step, make sure you have go through the contributing guideline and you have done this before.
I've got witnesses. Okay,
Cool.
cool. Perfect. So now what?
Yeah, you can create the pull request now.
Wow, look, that's fancy. Look at that. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Creating pull request now, initiating. Excellent. And it looks like it's been created. Awesome.
Yes, and you may find that we have automatically assigned the reviewers for you, and they are the code owners for what you have changed. So they are automatically assigned when you edit the files from the doc.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
One last thing to do is that remember Julia have created an issue for you, and we
That's
should
right. She
link
did.
this issue to let us know what you are changing.
Okay. Can I do that here?
Yeah, here.
Okay.
Yes. Julia, can you provide the keyword for this issue?
Yes, it's called syntax issue resolution.
Look at that. It's the first one. You know what it reminds me of? When you go to the restaurant and you go wash your hands in the bathroom and then you come back and your food's already at the table. This is that situation. Look at that. Boom.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
so
that's
cool.
just too convenient.
Cool.
Okay. Where do we
I
go from
have
here?
already received the notification in the Teams.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the ChatOps implemented, so I can directly receive the notification from the GitHub in the Teams. So
Cool.
I will let the team know. I will take care of this PR. And then view in GitHub. It's exactly what you are changing. So here I will add my review. I can see what you are changing and approve it. Cool. And you may have also noticed that we have the InnerSource CI pipeline in progress. So this continuous integration pipeline is doing the crash scan for this repo and also using the docfx to build all these markdown files into the static website. So after the CI pipeline is passed, and also you need 2 reviewers to approve this PR, then it will get merged. So I will approve this PR later, and Julia, I may need your help to help review it.
Absolutely. I'll review it and I'll merge the changes. Thank you so much for your work.
Yeah, and after the CI pipeline, we also have the continuous deployment pipeline in the backend. So when CI is finished, then we will release it into the staging environment. And then we will have this in the production environment. All of this is within few minutes. And also we have this InnerSource bot. So Corey, if you cannot reach out to me, and you can also leverage this channel in the Teams, type Dojo, choose the Dojo InnerSource bot, and type your questions, like how to contribute.
Oh, this is too cool.
And the bot will
Yeah.
receive these questions. Yeah. So you may notice that we have some typos in the questions. But do not worry, we have the text moderator in the backend. So it will auto-correct your question to correctly match the Q&A pair. And if you are not satisfied with the answer, you can reach out the core team in this Teams channel for further question. And if you get the satisfied answer, you can also contribute this to this Q&A, and this process is just similar like you have done just now.
Wow. This is
Okay.
great. This is really convenient. Thank
Yeah.
you for showing me this.
Yeah. So any further question, feel free to reach out to me. And
Thanks.
Julia, how about the issue?
So thank you so much. I actually see the issue in the done column. It has been resolved. Everything looks cool. So as you can see in the done, I see syntax issue resolution, and this is you, right, Corey? So thank you so much for your hard work, both of you. But now it's time for me to have a conversation with our sponsor. So Margarita, are you here with me?
Yes, indeed. I've been here watching the whole process. That has been really, really cool.
Yes, amazing, right? So what I want to show you now is this dashboard that we've been creating with the team. As you can see, there are a lot of data. We had 230 unique users, 63 different roles, and look at this map. We have people from Europe, North America, Australia, Asia. We have views from a lot of different countries. So what do you think?
But first of all, I think this is really, really good. I had no idea about how big the impact of our content was, but I can see, thanks to this, data, how people from many different countries are consuming our content. This is great. Thank you so much, team, for that. But I have one question. Let me bring our InnerSource expert to the conversation. Gary, I don't know if you've seen like this data. I think this is really cool, but I wonder what can I do with this information to make sure that the team improves?
Yeah, it's great numbers. Got a good coverage there. The map's brilliant. I think, from when I see this, it's looking for opportunities for activities. So maybe you've got a great spread of people using the content in Europe, but South America not so much. So maybe we can look into that area and just kind of understand. Maybe reach out to the folks in South America, done some marketing. Just see if we can get those numbers up and bring more people around the world to the content.
Yeah, indeed. That was great feedback. Thank you so much for that. I think, Julia, we can work with the team and, make sure that we pivot so we take the right steps to reach out to as many people as possible. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that it's a good idea and we can work together on it. Thank you. But I also wanted to show you something else. So we created also this other dashboard where you can see the different roles and also the top 10 consumed articles. I think this is great data as well. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is giving me a lot of information. Now I can imagine, I know actually that what's the content that our consumers like the most and the articles that are more valuable to them. I think that's really good. Also, I see like the different roles that are consuming this type of information, which also gives me a good understanding of how, the landscape looks like. But again, I'm a little bit lost on what the next step should look like. What are your thoughts here, Gary?
Yeah, again, it's great to see these numbers. We've got lots of people across the organization consuming the content in different roles. Customer engineers, top of the pile there. That's great. Again, can we take something from that? Can we look at different areas? Go to different roles and groups and just let them know that the content is there. The consumed articles. Again, great that we've got people coming to the content. Maybe we should be looking at, are they sticking around? Are they making their way through the learning paths as well? Do we have any drop-offs? And also as well, can we maybe reach out to other communities that can help share the message of our content? Let's see if we can get some other referrals from different places, and again, that might be part of our marketing strategy to reach out and build relationships with other communities.
That's a really, really good suggestion. Yes, I think we need to diversify a little bit, like our partners and where we're actually referencing our content, so we can maybe get more contributors.
Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, now that you mentioned contributors, let me show you this. So we have created a GitHub contribution dashboard where you can see different data about how many contributors we have, how many open issue we have, and the top 10 contributors. So a lot of data also on the pull request. So what do you think about those data?
Well, I knew the team was doing great, but seeing these numbers just confirmed that. I see a lot of different contributors. I think great, average time of our pull requests and the number of issues. I think that's pretty solid. But with this information, I just wonder, what can we do? Gary, what do you think we can do to make sure that this InnerSource culture is actually even more promoted within the team?
Yeah, I mean, again, these numbers, great. Contributors, they're the lifeblood of the project, right? Without contributions, people bringing their ideas, that's how projects grow and advance. And reaching out to those folks and bringing them in is something that shows how healthy the project is. I think I can gather from this that maybe we're looking around January, there was a bit of a spike. People, around Christmas time, holiday season, plenty of time. They want to get involved in something new and, get involved. So maybe we can take something from that. Maybe we can look at, how are we giving those contributors their moment in the spotlight? How do we keep them contributing and coming back? So maybe we can look at that. Maybe we can have a look at a rewards program.
That's actually a really, really good idea. We need to look into that. Thank you so much, Corey, for your insights here. Those were really valuable. I really appreciate them. And thank you so much, Julia and the team, for this great work and for these amazing dashboards that really allow me to, better understand how we're doing. I think
Thank
now
you.
it's thank you. I think now it's time to, kind of recap a little bit on what we just saw as part of the demo. So, yes, I have this diagram right here. Let's go a little bit over, the different flows we've seen. We started with our product owner, Julia. She was showing us how the team was leveraging the projects section in the repository to, organize the different tasks, the different steps they need to take as part of their roadmap to achieve those OKRs. Then Corey, our end user, came into, the stage. He was consuming the content at some point. He found there was something that could be improved. He shared that as feedback with the rest of the team, and eventually that became an issue in the backlog. So someone from the team could work on that. And actually, that was really funny. We saw how Corey moved from being an end user and becoming a contributor. He took that issue and he started working on that. Thanks to our maintainer, the guidance of our core team, Sengyu. She was his mentor. She helped him on finding the right information with the contribution guidelines, making sure that he had everything he needed to raise the pull request. Now, Sengyu, after that, got that notification in the Teams channel, that collaboration channel. So she she got notified about that pull request that needed her review. She took the ownership of that, and she reviewed the pull request and eventually approved that. And she also showed us how there was that Q&A bot that allowed us to, raise any questions and also, see other ways to contribute to the code. That was really amazing. And then at the end, we saw how, the sponsor, together with the product owner and our GitHub InnerSource expert here today, they took a look at the insights of these different activities. They could see how, the consumption of the content was looking like, but also how the contributions from the core team and every contributor was looking like, and take informed decisions based on this data. So with this, we will conclude our role play for today.
Wait, I've got a question. Wait, time out. So you asked me a question earlier in regards to finding answers, how I go about reaching out to managers and reaching out to colleagues. And that whole process, I forgot to mention, I've been pulling my hair out in this entire situation. Could you go back to that one slide that you were sharing? Look at this avatar here. Is there any way, possibly, that I could get some hair added to my avatar now that I have this new way of going about getting answers?
But
I see a bit of a disconnect here, hair, no hair, hair, no hair.
You know what? If you raise more pull requests and contribute more, then I'll reconsider that.
Cool. I'll be on it. Trust me, you're going to get one very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, so with this, I'll hand over to Dave to go over some questions.
All right. Thank you very much. Great job, team. So now is your opportunity to put your questions into chat. Ask us anything. Awesome presenters today. Julia, Corey, Gary, Shenyu, Margarita, thank you so much for teaching us about InnerSource and everything. So while we are waiting to see if there are any questions, let me drop a few things here into chat so that you can keep going. You can learn more. Dropping the into chat the link for the GitHub documentation. If you only save one link from all of this, save that link, mark that as a bookmark, and that will that way you can get to all the information you need about GitHub. We have a lot of hands-on learning at Microsoft, hands-on labs and everything. So let me do this as we talk about these various links here. Yeah, there's several learning paths out there on Microsoft Learn for GitHub. So go check those out. We also have the GitHub Learning Lab that's out there at the moment. Oh, Ben Wilson asks, what is the best way to connect with DevOps Dojo? What do you think, guys? What's the best way to connect with DevOps Dojo? Khan, you wanna take that one?
Yeah, if you can bring me back. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, we see you. We hear you and we see you.
Okay, so if you're outside of Microsoft, we actually do a lot of blogs from the Azure DevOps GitHub team, right? So we actually have a lot of blogs, and so you can actually read the blogs, and we do have a URL. You actually can contact us. One of the things we're thinking, right, we want to go, actually, I haven't really talked about it, the details with everybody yet. We do want to go open source, right? What we have, because once we go to open source, then that means all the labs you guys have seen, you will be able to contribute. One of the things I have to say that, right, we are actually redefining our vision in DevOps Dojo, right? So we had our mission basically solving the hardest problem in DevOps. We want to accelerate the DevOps culture and want to make a DevOps real, right? So Dave is showing that. And so our vision actually is the spread power through DevOps culture. So that means if you look at the whole history, right, what we have done here, we started with Azure Product Group, right? The GitHub taught us how to do DevOps in GitHub. So we had a 3 intensive bootcamp, and then we turned that into the internal event called GitHub Shots, and then we learned more. And now we move to the YouTube Live. So we really want to spreading power through DevOps culture. So I think that if you're internal Microsoft, that's actually very easy. We have a homepage. We have all kinds of channel in the source. But if you're outside of Microsoft, I believe the last slide, you will see, right, how to reach us. If you can reach us, we can actually have a conversation and so on. But more importantly, like I say, we're thinking about that, definitely go to open source. So then all the labs, everything you will be able to see. And lastly, is our superstar, Corey, and he, again, I put you on the spot because we talked about it, right? This is everything is going on real. He's going to open his YouTube channel with Margarita potentially, and so all the small bites and everything we're going to put out there. So those are great way actually we can work together, go beyond the boundary of Microsoft and the GitHub, right? So we want to spread that power through the DevOps culture. Corey, I'm on something for you.
We put the yeehaw back in your motor and transmission. That sounds fantastic. Great news.
Yes, one of the things I wanted to point out here was aka.ms DevOps Lab. This is where if you go through this page looking for Dojo, and my mouse is not cooperating. There we go. If you go through this page looking for DevOps Dojo, you'll see the videos related to the blog posts that Khan was talking about. This is a great way to dive in and learn more about Dojo. And also, yes, you can connect with us in general at msusdev@microsoft.com. So thank you very much, Ben, for the question. But yeah, you'll see many of the same. You see some similar faces there, right? In some of these dojo videos and everything here. All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Otherwise, in the interest of time here, thank you very much for attending all of our 6 sessions. We had some for technical people, some for everyone. We had a whole bunch of topics that we were able to cover off on. And thank you so much to all of our presenters. Some very veteran speakers in that. Some that were, with the growth mindset, putting themselves out there. Everybody did a tremendous job in presenting all of this material and going through the various role plays and everything. Also, thank you to our subject matter experts behind the scenes from, everybody from GitHub who's been ready and waiting to answer all of your questions. We'd also like to thank our GitHub Bootcamp producers, Matthew Calder, April Edwards, AJ behind the scenes and everything. And here are the call to actions. Let me grab these links for you here. Where did it go? There we go. You have the MSUS Dev in there. Here's that DevOps Lab link for you. Learn more about DevOps Dojo here at DevOps or aka.ms/dojo.intro, and go ahead and get started today by going to github.com/organization/enterprise_plan and start your free trial today. All right, I want to thank you for attending GitHub Bootcamp. Now it's in your hands. Take the things that we have presented and go empower your organizations to become high-performing DevOps organizations. And now, back to you, Matt, for a bit of fun to wrap everything up.
Okay, thanks so much. This has been a great series. And so we're going to roll the end credits and with special musical guest, Absalom.